Hello, it's Maya Andreasen, and we're back for part 5 of the leg IKFK series, and we are moving on to the FK leg. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to make the IK leg invisible. So I'm just going to select one of these joints, hit F in my outliner so that I can find where my IK joints are, and I'm actually just going to hide them. So I'm selecting my IK joints and I'm going to turn on my FK joints. All you have to do is hit H to make those visible. And I'm also, for right now, going to turn off my main joint chains, so my bind joints, so my bind hip joint. So this is what we have. Now, something else we can do is we can make our IKs invisible. So if we just select the IKs group and hit H, that's going to make those temporarily invisible so that I won't accidentally select them for any reason. And I've already saved this as a new version or a like version part 4. So if I do mess up horribly, I can always go back to the previous version and start over again from uh, version 3, right? So I won't have to redo everything. Okay, so I made a little control already for my FKs. I just took a circle and I molded it to the way I want. You can make your FK controls look anything like you want. They could be triangles, they could be arrows, they could be circles, they could be squares, whatever you want, right? I made something that kind of looks like, the little paneling, the armor on my red faction model here. These controls are going to go for the hips, the knee, and the ankle. So that's what they're going to be corresponding with. Okay, so I have made, I'm just going to duplicate this 3 times. And after making my control, make sure that you have it centered, right? So hit CP or go to Modify Center Pivot to make sure your pivot is centered. Okay, and we're going to snap it to the left hip joint or thigh joint, however you've named it. So I'm pressing V as in Victor and snapping, and there we go. There it is. Okay, in component mode, I'm going to hit F8. To get into component mode rather. So you hit F8, it's a keyboard shortcut. And then we're going to move the arrow out in front of our hip or our thigh. And let's make the model visible so we can see kind of what we're doing. You can always rotate it if you want to. So if I wanted to kind of rotate it like this, I could, right? You can move it out a bit so it's centered on the leg a bit more. All of those things are totally fine to do as long as you're doing it in component mode. And you hit F8, it'll go back to object mode. We are going to rename this. Now, I like to name things usually for control curves, either CC for control curve underscore the name, or you could do anim, right? We've been doing anim, so I guess we'll stick to it, though. We did CC for all the center controls. Really, it should be uniform, but all the central controls were not included in the tutorial, so I think it'll be okay. So anyway, we're going to do anim underscore L underscore hip underscore FK01 because these are FK controls. So we want to make sure that whoever our animator is, they know that these are FK controls. Or if we had to hand this off to another rigger, they would also know what these controls were for. All right, so you can either duplicate the control, right? Or you can select one of the duplicates I've already made here and snap it to the knee control. All right, so we're going to make this visible again because we want to, right? Actually, want to go into component mode first now because we want our pivot point to be at the knee. So we don't want to move our actual pivot point of our control when it's in object mode, right? So this is going to be the knee. This is going to be the knee, right there. Look at that. Isn't that great? Move it over again. And then if I hit F8, you'll see that the pivot point is still at the knee joint, which is where we want it. Okay. And then we're going to take this last guy here and we want to snap it to the ankle. All right. And once we go again, we want to go into component mode, and we'll move it outside of the ankle. I'm gonna go like this, move it up a bit, make it a little bit smaller. Right? You can make your controls smaller in component mode. That works just fine. Maybe rotate it just a bit. So it's conforming very nicely. Look at that. Isn't that great? And then just make sure you still got it at your pivot point is still at the actual joint. Okay. We do want to name these. So this is going to be Annum underscore L underscore knee underscore FK01. And then let me just copy this name, paste it, and replace knee with ankle, right? And there we go. So now that we have done this, I'm gonna freeze transformations and delete history real quick. All right, so we're going to create the right side controls. We aren't going to use our MRT script, right? If you really want it to be kind of the same angle as what you have on this side, you can Control D to duplicate, Control G, -1, I think an X, right? Okay. Shift P, freeze transformations. Yeah, so that's another way, and that's not the MRT. I mean, it's how the MRT tool basically works, but it's kind of doing it from scratch. You have a little bit more control over everything. Sometimes some of those negative numbers that can be caused by the MRT tool, like mirroring it, they can get they can still be there. You think everything's fine, it's not. But anyway, so we're gonna rename this because this is the right hand side, so this is R, so might as well just do it now, right? And then we're gonna duplicate this, group it, -1 in the X, then we're going to try to ungroup it. It wouldn't let me, so oh, there we go. Ungroup, freeze transformations, get rid of the group, right? Now let me just go back here again. Yeah, this is good. Okay, so now we're going to rename it, and voila. Okay, and then this last Control D to duplicate for the ankle control, Control G to group, -1 in scale X. You can use the down arrow to select the actual control, hit Shift P to unparent, get rid of the group, freeze transformations on this control, and voila, there we go. So now we have the right hand side and they're all named correctly and positioned. Now we want to color code these controls, and we went through color coding before. You know, I have a script, so if I select these 3 controls, which I want red, I can do the C red script. If we're going to do this from scratch, or not from, yeah, from scratch, the old-fashioned way, we'll go into the attribute editor, into the shape node for our control, under object display, drawing overrides, enable overrides, and you're going to find the color blue that you want. And then for the rest of these, now that I've shown you how to do this, I'm just going to go to the script and change it quickly. All right. So we do actually want to match the controls orientation to the joints, and we're going to use an LAT tool to find the orientation. So we've already made our IK and regular joint chains invisible, so all we have to worry about is the FK chain. All right. Let's see. So we are going to do the following. Select our FK. Let me open these up. There we go. There they are. We're going to select our left side joints for the FK, and we're going to hit our LAT tool. Remember we talked about the LAT tool. All right. And so we are going to click LAT. All right. And then we are going to select the right side joints, and we are going to run the LAT tool. Now let's just do a refresher real fast. So if you don't have that LAT tool, how are we going to do this? Well, let's make these locators invisible. Let's hit H, pretend like we never made them. It's going to take you a little longer. So you're going to make a locator, select the joint, then select the locator. Make sure you're in the rigging mode, and you're going to go constrain parent options box and make sure maintain offset is unchecked and hit apply. Once you do that, you are going to delete the parent constraint from the locator, and then you need to rename the locator, and you would name it localine underscore L underscore thigh FK01. That's how you make all of these locators. So if you don't have the script, you're going to just have to do these one at a time in that order. So let's make the ones that I just made visible, because we do need to change the name here. We need to get rid of JDRV, and we don't need that. So we're going to get rid of it for both sides. And here we go. All right. Fantastic. Let's save what we have. All right, so now that we have renamed everything, we can also make everything just a little bit smaller. These are rather large. So we can go down to the local scale. Let's just do 0.4 for right now. We can still see things, we can still connect them, but they're not overlapping. All right, so we want to take the controls and we want to parent them to each locator starting with the ankle. Okay, so we're going to take our left ankle control, and then we're going to select our locator, and we're going to hit P to parent. Okay, and then we want to make sure that we're going to have to refreeze transformations on that control. All right. And then and let's make sure there's no history. There isn't. Okay, then we're going to do the same with the knee control. So we're going to select the knee control, shift select the locator, and hit P to parent. And then we are going to freeze transformations. Then we're going to select the thigh control. So it's going to be the child of these locators. Press P to parent. Freeze transformations. Okay, then we're going to do it on the other side. We're going to do the right ankle, and then locator, P to parent, FT, freeze transformations, control, locator for the knee, parent, it's P to parent. Modify freeze transformations if you do not have it on your shelf, and then the control, shift select the locator, P to parent, and freeze transformations. Okay, so we've done that for all of those. Now we need to do some parenting. So we're going to grab the left ankle locator, this guy right here, and shift select the left knee control. Okay, and then we're going to hit P to parent. All right, and then we're going to select the left knee locator, and then shift select the left hip control and hit P to parent. Okay. Then we are going to go to the right hand side, and we're going to select the right ankle locator, and then the right knee control, hit P to parent, We're going to select the right knee locator and the right thigh control and hit P to parent. And then we should have something that looks like this. Here we go. So we should have something that looks like this. Oh, we forgot to do one more. What did we do? Let's go back a bit. I think I messed up. Okay. Sorry about that. So we have the right hip. Yes. Uh-oh. Edit redo. Okay. So our left side is good. All right. Let's get that right side. Did I forget to parent this? I sure did. Shift P. I parented the wrong thing. That's not going to work. That's not going to work at all. Let's freeze transformations here. So, make sure you select the right thing, right? So when I select the knee, this knee should be parented to this, right? And somehow that didn't happen. So just be mindful that you're parenting the correct control to the correct locator. Oopsie. So remember to select the right thigh control and the right locator. P to parent. Okay, now we're doing this properly. And then freeze transformations. I don't know how that ended up incorrect, but we fixed it. Okay, now we're going to try this again. We're going to select the right ankle locator, the knee control, P to parent, the right knee locator, the right thigh control, P to parent, and there we go. Yeah, so I really should have been paying a little bit more attention. But let's take a look at our controls and make sure that they are all zeroed out. And they are, which is fabulous. You want to make sure that there's no integers on your control. So all the channels should be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. All right. So now we want to make sure the top locators are parented to and work with our hips. So we're going to select both thigh locators. Okay. And we're going to select our pelvic control. I think it's this guy, right? Yeah, see hip, and hit P to parent. So that when this moves, right, it moves all this with it. Okay. So then we're going to select all of the FK controls, and we want to get rid of the translate, scale, and visibility channels because we only want it to rotate. So I would start from the bottom up. And here's why you should do that. And by the way, I'll hit F here so we can see all of these. If you start from the top down, you can easily fool yourself into thinking that you have all three of these controls selected, but you don't. You only have the hip selected, but because the other two controls are parented to it, that hip control will drive the other two controls. So you just have to go and select them this way. But if you select from the bottom up, you'll know for sure that you have everything actually selected, right? And once again, if we go into our outliner and hit F, it's going to show us where everything is and what we have selected. Okay, so now that we have that done, once again, we want translate. So I'm going to left press drag, and then I'm going to press Control and click on scale and visibility, right? And then we're going to go to channels, lock and hide selected. So only the rotate channels are visible. Okay. So we want to make sure the joints are connected to our animation controls, right? We want to have good animation, good orientation order. So let's select the left thigh control right here. We're going to press E to bring up the rotate tool. And if we hold down the E key and left mouse button, so we're going to go E, left mouse button, we get these guys. And we can select this gimbal option. And then we want to change the rotate order of the thigh control. So we go into the attribute editor, scroll up, there we go. And we're going to change it to X, Z, Y. There we go. Okay, so then we're going to select all the rest of the FK controls, and we're just going to do this the fast way. Hit Q if you don't want that rotate control up there, and we're going to type in X form, so XF as in Frank, OR, M as in Mary, dash space dash ROO space XZY, and then enter. Okay. All right, so now we're going to do some connecting. So select your left thigh control and shift select the left thigh joint. And then let's go into Windows, General Editors, Connection Editor. Okay. And we're going to connect rotate to rotate. Okay. And let's see. Let's switch back to local rotation mode. So remember that's E, left mouse button, local or object. Yeah. All right. All right. Select the left knee control and the left knee joint and connection editor. Right, it'll update it, and then we'll do rotate, and we're going to do the same on the right hand side. So left knee control, left knee joint, connection editor, rotate, right knee. I'm sorry, it's the right knee hip, the right knee joint, CE for connection editor, rotate. Okay, so we want to set up some orient constraints now, but we're going to set up the orient constraint from the ankle control, the ankle FK control, to the bind ankle joint. So not the FK ankle joint, but the actual joint chain, like the universal joint chain, I guess if you want to call it, the bind ankle joint. So with the left FK ankle control selected, I'm actually going to go into my outliner here, and I'm going to control select BNL ankle 01 constrain orient with maintain offset off. And then I'm going to go do the same on the other side. So I'm going to select the right side FK control and then control select BNR ankle 01 and do constrain orient. Okay, so they should both have their orient constraints on the actual bind joint, not the FK ankle joint. All right. So, and then the next step is we're going to set up some set driven keys so as to switch between IK and FK modes. So we're going to grab both of the bind ankle bones. So that's BNR ankle 01 and BNL ankle 01. If you don't have them visible in your outliner, please hit F in your outliner so that we can see the orient constraints for both of them. And indeed, they should be there. So if you open this up, you'll see that hit the plus sign that they have orient constraints. Okay, so we're going to start with the left side, and we're going to select the bind L ankle 01 orient constraint. So here it is. And we're going to go into our set driven key window. So that's under animation. It's under key, set driven key, set options box. There we go. Okay. So the orient constraints in driven, and our driver is actually center of gravity control, where we have all of our FKIK channels that we made earlier. So let's load that as the driver. There we go. Okay. All right, so under the driver, we're going to select L, leg, IK, FK. Make sure it's in IK mode. And on the right side of the, so then select our constraint and select local line L foot 01 WO and anim L ankle FK01 W1. There we go. You have to shift select to select them both. We want to set anim L ankle right here, FK01 W1 channel to 0, and then we're going to key. Okay. Now we're going to select our center of gravity control in our driver box, and we're going to change the L leg IK FK over here in the channels to FK. Okay, so change it to FK. We're going to select our orient constraint. We're going to make sure we have local line L foot 01 WO, and make sure that's 0. And then the anim L ankle, change that to 1. And then we're going to key it. Okay, now we're going to do the right hand side. Okay, so we're going to select our leg IK FK, and then we're going to go to our right ankle orient constraint, and we're going to load that as driven. And we're going to shift select both of the options here under the constraint, the local line R foot 01 WO and the anim R ankle FK 01 W1. All right, so let's go to our center of gravity control. We'll make sure it's in IK, which it is. And then let's go to our orient constraint. 0 out anim R ankle, right? FK01 W1, and key it. Oh, it helps if they're selected. There we go. Now they're keyed. Okay, and then we're going to go back to the center of gravity control and change it to FK on the right leg. And we're going to go back to our orient constraint, and we're going to make sure the local line option is 0 and the anim option is 1. So we're just switching these, and then we're going to key it. All right. Now we're going to add set driven keys to our foot joints. So we're going to select both of our foot joints. So I found the foot orient constraints. So they are under the JDRV L foot 01 right here. So here is the left side, and I'm going to load it as driven. There we go. Now that we have loaded that, we should currently be in FK mode. So go to your center of gravity control. As you can see, we are in FK mode. Okay, make sure you're selecting the L leg IK FK driver. And in the driven section, we want to select our foot orient constraints, local line toe 01 WO, and we want its weight to be 0. and then we're going to key it. Now we're going to select the center of gravity control again. We're going to switch to IK. And we're going to change our orient constraints weight channel to 1, and we're going to key it. Now we're going to do the right hand side. So if we go over here, here is our right hand side's foot orient constraint. So we're going to load that as driven. We're going to select our right leg IK. FK, we should be in FK mode, right? Double check, you should be in FK mode for the right hand side. All right, and then we're going to go to our orient constraint, select local line our local line, our toe, O1W0, and set it to 0, and then key it. And then we're going to switch to IK mode on our center of gravity control. Go back to our orient constraint, and we're going to set the local line our toe to 1 and key it. All right. Okay, that is a lot for this one session. Our next session, we will go over the visibility of our FKIK controls. I'm Maya Andreasen. Until next time, bye-bye.